Now cut the ring terminals off.
Oh, you want to cut the terminals off?
Yeah, cut them off because I got to change them anyway.
All right.
Can I give you my cutters? You have cutters?
I have others.
For me. All right, yeah, now come up through one at a time. Yeah, beauty. Got any more?
That's it.
All right, I can make this work. And the other end, can it reach the block where it connects on the controller?
Wait a minute, we've got another, let me see your nippers for a second. There's another wire tie in here where I think we can get some more.
All right. Well, it didn't come out exactly as we had planned. The controller over here, if you'll take a shot of the controller. The controller was designed custom and not fully debugged as a system, because at the time we were putting it in the machine, people were throwing things like clothes, sleeping bags, and food into the truck at the same time. It's very hard to concentrate while someone has got a Hilljerk welding the last piece of iron while you're trying to use a small screwdriver and an ohm meter. In the end, we had to abandon the controller. It has no wires going to the controls. We had to spend a night putting the transmitter back to its original wiring, which you kind of couldn't remember because we started on this a year ago and tried it on field day and didn't have a success. We couldn't get up the mountain. We couldn't get up the mountain because we tried to take the transmitter in this fashion, standing up. There's no way. I thought I'd just bring along the tree trimmer. It has a very high center of gravity. So we re-engineered it to use this metal welded assembly here. If you zoom in on it, you can see that it uses rollers and a lot of steel. Matter of fact, I expect the steel weighs 600 pounds by itself. The transmitter weighs 1,600 pounds. And we brought it up here with the iron mounted in it. And what this thing does is it allows us to roll it out and then bring it up with a winch. We'll show you the winch in a second. And then when we're done, you lay it down and you slide it back. It's actually a one-man operation. Over here, you can see the mechanics, including a fine Harbor Freight low-end DC winch. And you see up here the steel work to support the load, and this jib here with the pulley, it's actually is inserted when you want to use it. You take it out because a lot of times it'll break a garage door right off. And it lowers, of course, the height. And then it was a simple matter of attaching the winch and pushing the button. We used extensive feature wiring on this. They're called jumper cables. And we just jumper cable to the battery. And in reality, it has a very light load to pull this up the way it's set up. You see down here pivot points. Well, of course, our controller didn't work. So we made a lot of last minute, mostly in the dark changes. And you see over there, that's the antenna switch. And you'll see the handyman's friend being used there, duct tape. In the end, we weren't able to trigger the receiver. Matter of fact, when we left in such haste, the receiver remained on the workbench while we were on the way to West Virginia. I brought this small SandGen a general coverage receiver. And believe it or not, while my assistant, Gary, held the transmit button, and I talked in the extensive studio at the back of the cab, which we had to close the doors because of the generator. It's a big one. This is a 8,500 watt. Nice work. 8,500 watt generator. It made a hell of a noise, so we had to close the doors to the studio. The studio is in a bit of a shambles right now. We created a fair amount of garbage here, which we will clean up. But the only way to receive it was to quickly stop transmitting, jump out of the truck, and turn on the SandGen receiver. And on this loop stick, we heard Grant from Delaware, Ohio, and we made our first cue. So he came in fantastically well. But we had to walk away, turn off the transmitter, and then walk away from the generator so we could actually hear. So this was our monitor receiver, became our main receiver. So that's the truth. And that's how it happened. You'll see too, we got all kind of safety. We got ground studs driven in the ground now. These are normal ground rod cut in half. This is West Virginia. There'd be rocks here. So we did the best we could. In the end, we only went through half a can of gasoline. And we ran the generator when we needed it. We ran off of the inverter and the batteries in the truck when we were trying to concentrate, including a setup in here where I could run the soldering iron or the light, but not both. And you can imagine the creativity it took to actually solder in the dark. Additionally, I neglected to bring a key component, my eyeglasses. So we were borrowing eyeglasses and sizing them up. People were saying, is that shorted to that? No, it's not. Check it with the ohmmeter. Oh yeah, it's shorted. So it was a very exciting trip. You see some of the wreckage here. In the end, our antenna performed fabulously. We brought a matchbox, never used it. Dummy load we did use, except that it never indicated because we couldn't get the antenna switch to go. In the end, we brute force connected the antenna directly up to the antenna, and a match was 1.3 or 1.4 to 1. It was fantastic. A couple of tweaks on the tuning and the transmitter, and we came up at full legal limit. You have a shot here of the antenna. It's a dipole, nothing but coax soldered to the leads. We use that new Davis cable that's kink-free. Fantastic stuff here in the woods. And you got your parachute cord holding it up. What would you say, how high is it?
I'd say we're about 40 feet.
40 feet. And it worked fantastic. We're most worried about that. We had the standard antenna launching equipment, including an easy launcher slingshot. There's somewhere there. And we had spud gun technology, which was just more fun to scare the natives than actually launch any antennas with. I wanted to show you one of the aspects of the engineering. This unistrut. There's a lot of classy welding here. The world's biggest equipment foot that rests the face of it. But here's another thing that is a tribute to this engineering. 1,600 pounds. Don't get under. Come on now. Totally uneventful. Frightening.
That took you a while to build that, didn't it?
That took 2 weeks. Cut off saw and a Hilljerk. Well, thank you very much for listening to our weird video.